Sam, I see that smile on your face.
Always. Something I never leave home without.
That's what's up. We want to thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken, where we told you we're going to continue to share life experiences. We have another amazing guest, Sam, and let me tell y'all really quick, this is how Sam and I was introduced. So there is a Good Fight Achievement Award that was named through Arlington Black Council. So that is an accomplishment in our life, and we're just so thankful. And the Good Fight Achievement Award started with me, and Arlington County carried it on. So it will go to a new woman each year, and I will present it to the new woman each year in May. So Sam is actually our 2025 the Good Fight Achievement Award winner. So it is such an honor to have Sam on Unfiltered Unspoken podcast sharing her testimony. So with that being said, Sam, if you can come up and introduce yourself, and then City Sid is going to kick off that first question.
Yes. First, I just want to say I'm so honored. I'm honored for the award that you guys gave me, and I'm honored to be part of the show today. I'm so excited anytime we get to share, just in case it helps someone else. It's the best feeling ever when someone else can get something out of what you're saying, or it can help them overcome or achieve or anything. So just wanted to start with that. But I am Samantha Nuamah. I am a lupus warrior. I've lived with lupus since, well, I was diagnosed at age 11, probably lived with it before then, but been fighting a long time. But we win the fight every single day. Every single day we show up. Every single day we're able to take strides. Anytime we're able to share, anytime we're able to help someone, we win the fight. So I'm excited to be on here. I'm excited to share and help. On the bottom of the screen, you could see my handles, my YouTube channel, Limitless with Lupus, just connecting anyone who needs the resource. And it could be for someone who's dealing with it themselves, or someone who is a caregiver to someone who has it, or even just a friend or a partner to someone who has it, just to get more understanding of what someone with lupus deals with every day.
Thank you again for being here with us. So it looks like your story kind of falls in line with how we usually start our show. We usually ask if you experienced any trauma or hardship in your adolescent years. But as you've already stated, you started experiencing lupus at the age of 11. So tell us a little bit about how things came about, what symptoms you had, that kind of let you know something was wrong, and the effects that it had on you at the time.
Yes. So I was officially diagnosed at age 11, but prior to age 11, I was in about the third grade when they realized something was going on with my kidneys. I had protein leaking from my kidneys in large amounts. And they put me on prednisone right away. They didn't diagnose lupus yet because they just weren't sure. It was a really long time ago, and I didn't have any of the other symptoms. So they just put me on prednisone to regulate it. And then that was about third grade. Later on in sixth grade, I was about 11, and I had a normal, like, diarrhea vomiting situation. And my mom was like, okay, you're sick. We're going to, do some remedies at home before we try to take you into the pediatrician. My family's from Ghana, West Africa, so we always try home remedies first. And we tried a lot of different things, and the vomiting and diarrhea just didn't stop for about 2 to 3 days. And then we went into the pediatrician. At the same time, I was getting a rash above the upper part of my face, and I've had eczema in the past, so we really didn't think much of it. But when I went to the pediatrician, that was the first thing that they said was, we noticed the rash on your face. And with lupus, Lupus in Latin means wolf, and they call it lupus because one of the main symptoms that people would get when they got this disease was a butterfly rash above the top half of their face that resembled a wolf. So I had that. It was a little harder to see on me because of this beautiful dark skin, but they were able to identify it. They started running tests, and I was diagnosed before leaving the hospital or leaving the pediatrician. And then they sent me to the hospital to run some more tests. So
And
it was a big life change.
I imagine. So, and following to that, I was going to ask, how did that change the dynamics of your family?
Yes. So my family is very active. We've always been really active. We've been into sports. My mom teaches fitness, and my sister and I have always played like cooperative sports. We've done swimming, track, basketball, and dance. And among being diagnosed, I also in the same breath got rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which my joints would be affected really, really bad. If it was raining, if the weather changed, sometimes just spontaneously, my joints would lock up and my hand could stay like this for 2 or 3 days straight. And I think initially my family's a praying family, so we immediately turned to prayer, and we decided we were just not going to take the diagnosis for what it is. We needed to see, how we can still live a normal life, how we could balance everything, and just prayed about it. And so I think I always say this, but I think in some ways I actually liked getting diagnosed young, because when you're young, you don't have to think about bills. You don't have to think about work. You don't have to think about rent. You don't have to think about anything. You just think about being a kid and going to school, and that's it. So my main focus was just getting better so I could go to school and be with my friends. There wasn't the extra added drama of bills and kids and everything else. So in some ways, I always say it was a little bit of a blessing for me to get it young, because it prepared me for anything else that was thrown at me. And my family stood on that too. We just kind of banded together, and they supported me in any way that they could. My parents traded off in taking me to doctor's appointments. My sister was really helpful when she could, just, helping me with my meds and transitioning things. There were some sad times because processing any kind of disease is hard. But for the most part, again, because I was a kid, I just wanted to play and be happy. So it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise.
Being so young, with the diagnosis, what was like your understanding of it at that point? Like how would, as a child, you describe to someone what was going on with you? Maybe if kids ask or something like that. What was your understanding of the disease at the time?
Yes. So at first, my mom and I had never heard of the disease, and we were kind of like, is this made up? Like, what? We've never heard of this. I had to do my own research. So in 6th grade, I did a Toastmasters presentation on it just to learn more about it, because I knew nothing. The doctors explained it to me as in a person who is healthy, when they get sick, when they get a cold or anything else, their cells work hard to fight off that cold. Immune system kicks in, and they work hard to fight off that cold. In someone with lupus or any autoimmune disease, your immune system is fighting all the time. So even when there's nothing to fight, it's fighting itself. So essentially it fights off everything in your body, so that when you do get a cold, when you do get something, there's nothing left to fight it. So a simple common cold can turn into pneumonia and be fatal. because you just don't have the cells in your body to fight off what needs to be released. That was my understanding of it early.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to ask, how did lupus change your childhood with your friends, family? How did it change?
So my friends and family have always been super supportive, even at a young age. Like when I told them I was sick and kind of explained what was going on, they were just always really supportive. I made up my mind early that I was just going to take a positive approach to it, and that if I mentally was happy, then it would it would be better. It would make the disease overall better. I think people naturally are empathetic and they want to help and do what they can. But I always asked everyone to just treat me normal. I didn't want the extra like, oh, or I'll do that for you or any of that. I wanted to at least be able to try to be as normal as possible. And if I needed help, I would ask them. If I needed the support, they were always there. And I have friends who I've been friends with since third grade, and they're some of my best friends. So they've been with me since the diagnosis, and they've always been there. They've always supported me with whatever I need. And then just like if I have a moment of just weakness where I just can't handle some of the stuff that's going on, they're always there for a shoulder to cry on and everything. So I've just had a really strong support system, which is so necessary with any disease, but mine is just amazing.
So at the age of, or the time of which you were diagnosed, even at that time, it was kind of uncharted territory. Being as though lupus is, found to be hereditary, have you had discussions with family about, any family members that maybe have had those symptoms and, they just couldn't put a name to it at the time, or didn't have the resources to put a name on it at the time? Was there any of that in your family that you knew about?
Yes. So I did have the discussion with my parents about that because they kept saying it's hereditary, and I did not know anyone in my family who had it. There are two types of lupus. Like one affects the immune system completely and the organs, and then the other one is more of a skin related condition. And I found out that my dad's cousin had this. One of my dad's cousins had the skin related one. I don't know if that translates in any way, but that's the only lineage that I could trace back.
I was going to ask, dealing with all these different episodes of lupus or outbreaks of lupus, what was the worst episode of lupus that you had from childhood to adult?
I would say, there's a lot. But I would say if I had to pick one, I would say my paralysis. I was in college. I attended VCU, so I wasn't too far from DC. And I came home one day because my parents said they had a surprise for me. So I came home. A friend brought me home, and they had bought me a car. And I was so excited to drive it back. And so I slept that night and was going to drive it back. But that evening, my legs started burning. I felt like I was on fire. There was no physical fire, but to me, it felt like that. And I just could not bear the pain. They called an ambulance. They weren't able to actually physically touch my legs because of the pain. So they had to move me in like a cradle type of thing. And I felt the pain for, I want to say like 6 hours. And then while at the hospital, the doctor started to run tests, and I remember being like, okay, I feel better. The pain's gone. I can go home. And they were like, well, let's just continue to run the test. They started poking at my legs and asking me, did I feel it? And I said no. And then the concern started. They kept asking me to like do muscle movements, like lift my legs or try to wiggle my toes or anything. And I couldn't. And so shock set in, and I realized that I had nerve damage, and I could not walk. It was very surreal because your brain is telling your legs to do something and you can't do it. So it was very, very surreal. Like I don't even think I could process it in the moment because I could see my legs, but they weren't moving. It was scary for my whole family. My mom was there with me and my sister was there, and it was very scary. And they continued to run tests. They did spinal taps. They did shock therapy. They did a whole bunch of stuff very fast, and nothing helped. Nothing worked. So after a 12-hour period, they came and told me that I had severe nerve damage in my legs and I was paralyzed from the waist down. And I think that was the most traumatic episode, I would say, for my lupus.
Well, and how long did that last? And what kind of hindrance was that on you, being as though you were in school at the time?
Yes. So I had to withdraw for the semester. It was a medical withdrawal, so the school was very understanding. I was paralyzed and in the hospital for 6 months. They ran a lot of tests. They put me on a lot of meds. They had to do a feeding tube because I had stopped eating. My body was just kind of deteriorating at that point. So it wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. And again, my family is a praying family, and my mom was with me the whole time, bedside. And one night she was praying and she went to go get ice from the ice machine, and she heard the doctors talking about my case. And they were saying that like they've tried everything, they've exhausted everything, and they don't think I'm going to make it. And they just want to try pushing like abnormally large amounts of like prednisone and other things that could be potentially life-threatening. And so she came back to the room. I don't even think she got the ice. She came back to the room and immediately told me, and she just was like, we need to pray. We need to pray. So we started praying, and God gave her this message of try a naturopathic approach. They're going to call you crazy. They're going to, say you're trying to kill your daughter, but try this naturopathic approach. So at the time I was 18 or 19. And so she asked me, was I okay to sign out of the hospital? She wanted to try juicing and this natural barley approach. And I just was so weak and whatever. And I was just like, yeah, sure. Like, if nothing else has helped in the hospital, I don't think it's going to hurt outside of the hospital. So we ended up signing out of the hospital AMA. They did call Child Protective Services on my mother because they said she was trying to kill me. I was still in pediatrics at the time because I had a chronic condition, and you can stay in pediatrics until you're like 24. So they called CPS and did a whole thing, but because I was 18, I could make the decision for myself. So I decided to sign out AMA, and we went home. My mom found a lady who also tried this approach. She had a different condition, but she was given 5 days to live. And she tried this approach. She told her family to humor her and just do it. And we met with her, and it was 5 years after her 5-day sentence. And she had been juicing and changing her diet. And so my mom said, I really want to try this. Like, let's give it a go. So we went home. I still couldn't walk. So like my family members helped me, and they set up an air mattress in the basement, and I was on the air mattress. I had a bedside commode. They got all the equipment for me to be comfortable. And my mom detoxed my system with fiber. So she gave me a whole bunch of fiber because all the medicines were in me from the hospital. So she gave me a whole bunch of fiber, and I just kind of got out of my system. Everything came out, and I had been paralyzed for 6 months at that point. And I think we detoxed for about a week. And then a week later, we started the juicing. My mom had to quit her job at that point because she was like, I got to get you better. She was juicing for me 5 times a day. She bought a juicer. She was juicing fruits and vegetables. We had such a great community of support. As I mentioned, people would buy us groceries and things to juice, and church community, and people at my sister's school, and friends. So we always had things to juice, and we didn't actually have to go to the grocery store ourselves. And my mom was juicing for me 5 times a day, and we were doing veggies with just a hint of fruit. It was mostly veggies, like kale, spinach, carrots, beets, cucumbers, those kind of things. And she would add maybe like a green apple for taste. But I didn't really like the taste. I would just hold my nose and take it because I knew I needed it. And within 2 weeks of just juicing, I had nothing in my system. I was just doing the juice. I wasn't eating food. I had feeling in my right foot. I could feel synapses in my right foot. I couldn't completely move it, but I could move it slightly. So that was after 2 weeks of just doing the juicing and being away from the hospital. So we continued on that path, and I was able to graduate from crawling to a walker to crutches to a cane. And then I had foot drop for about another 6 months before being fully restored to walking.
Wow, look at God. Look at God. Look at God. I want to ask, from your mother hearing the doctors say they're going to pump medicine in you, does it almost make you feel like, because this must be common, that the hospital was trying to kill you and they made it look like your mother was trying to harm you, because pumping medicine and your mother over here, that's scary. Like, it's almost saying, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. I think that sometimes the doctors don't know anything but what they are taught. They have to go off books and literature that they know. And so they almost run it like an experiment sometimes. It's unfortunate, and I don't think it's right, but I think that's what they know to do. They don't really, I would say that they're not really on the naturopathic train. They'll say like eat right, things like that, but most of it is medications. And once you start medications, you're kind of hooked. Your body is dependent. I started prednisone when I was 9, and I am 39, and I still have to take this much of a dose just to be able to function. Because once something's in your system so heavy, your body becomes so dependent on it. And I think the doctors look at things instant. They want the instant fix. They want to cure you right away, and they don't look at the long-term effects or how that is going to affect you. Sometimes they do, but they don't even care. They're like, this is what is going to help you in the moment. We'll worry about that later. And again, I think it's just part of their training, what they were trained to do. That's what they know. And I think it's important to go see your doctor, because they have all the tools and necessary things to like scan you and you figure out what's going on with you. But once you do, I think that there's a natural remedy for everything that you have. So I after being paralyzed and going through that, like, I know, like, there is a natural way to combat most of the things we have today. It's just doing the research and people taking the time to do it. Also, naturopathic is not instant. It needs to get in your system. It needs to be constant. And people who do it tend to mix it with like, oh, I'm juicing, but I'm also eating McDonald's. That's kind of counterintuitive, right? It's not really a good balance. So you get some of the good effects, but you're also tilting the scale the other way. So I think if people are going through something health-wise and they really want to go the naturopathic way, they have to completely change their outlook on eating and what health looks like.
Okay, so I kind of have like a two-in-one question. Outside of the being paralyzed, what other symptoms did this kind of new route of treatment for yourself? What other symptoms did that reverse? And the second question, I forgot, so we can go with that.
I think early on, so leading up to me being in college and having that big diagnosis, I had a lot of things. I had pancreatitis. I had some issues with my intestinal system. I had a whole bunch of things because, again, with lupus, because it's fighting itself, when it attacks your body and doesn't find anything to fight, right, it starts attacking your organs. So mine in particular is lupus nephritis. So it goes for the kidney first. So I have had a kidney transplant. I was on dialysis. But the hard part about it is you cannot build up your immune system too much because your immune system's overactive. So you have to have a healthy balance of like making sure that you maintain a steady level of immune activity, which is really hard, again, because you don't have like the lab reports and all those things to see unless you're going to the doctor. So I will say I had anemia for a while, and after the juicing, my anemia went away. With lupus, as I mentioned, I had a lot of joint pain and discomfort all the time, and that went away. When I was juicing with my mom 5 times a day, that was the only time in my whole entire life that I was not on any medications. I was able to stop every single medication and still be okay. But I will say, like, again, there was a support. She was helping me. It wasn't just me doing it myself. It is challenging to do something like that by yourself. Because of the amount of juicing you have to do and the amount of things that you're trying to eat that are healthy in a day and all those things. So it is hard to maintain. You do need to have that support in your life to be able to maintain it. But I did see a decrease in my joint pain and some of my other things. I had high blood pressure for a while, and that went away for a little bit. But I will say, because I was in college and when I was better and went back to college, willpower is a crazy thing. It's so hard to always stay disciplined. And it was very challenging for me in college to like maintain what my mom had started with me. I think I tried my hardest and still sometimes would backslide and like eat pizza or whatever, because you're in college and you're living and you're having fun with your friends and things like that. So it was hard. But I noticed anytime I did do something like that, like I would see the effects immediately. Like I would feel sick, my body would feel sick. Yeah.
And I remember my second part. How after starting juicing, or the kind of significant change to your diet, how long did you go without any like flares or any medical emergencies?
So it was a little bit of a roller coaster because my mom took me out. We were doing well, and like my mom was all about this, and she was like, "Yeah, let's do it." My dad is a softie, and he loves his girls. It's me and my sister, and one day we were driving back from one of my appointments, and before I started the naturopathic stuff, I used to love Checkers fries. Like Checkers fries was my weakness. They were so good. So we saw Checkers, and my sister wanted to stop and get some, and I was like, I know I can't have any, but maybe I could just have one or two fries. And my dad was like, I don't know, your mom's gonna be mad at me, but he gave in and gave it to me anyways, which set me back. So I immediately had an issue around my small intestine, started filling up with fluid. I had to be rushed to the emergency room again. They had to cut and drain the fluid out. And then they had to they had to intubate me and put me on a feeding tube. So that set my healing back a little bit. I still had feeling in my legs, but I then had something else. So then I had to worry about my small intestine, and we had to go through a whole thing again in the hospital. So that was one of the things. And then, as I mentioned, when I did get better from that, because I gained a lot of weight from the feeding tube that they had me on. I think I was about 214 pounds and I'm 5'3". And so I had to lose the weight, and I had to try to get my body back to where it was in order for me to be able to go to school, because I couldn't lift my own body weight. And then when I was finally able to go back to school again, I again tried my hardest, and I was doing well. And even when on days I couldn't juice myself, I would just go and buy juice from like a grocery store, like a natural health store or something. But it just became challenging, and I think those little setbacks were hard. So I would say after being fully recovered, I think it was about 2-3 months before the French fry incident. And then after that, just going back to school and having little bouts of things here and there.
Okay. I was going to ask, because you said you couldn't take prednisone.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't take prednisone with your mother juicing. You said starting at 9:39, but you said you have to take a little bit now to keep your body. So what happens to your body if you don't take prednisone? And what was the difference when you were juicing and not taking the prednisone?
So after having kidney transplant, you have to be put back on medications. And so I had to go back on a whole bunch of medications for immunosuppression and just for kidney repair and things like that. So one of those was prednisone. And again, my body was so used to being on it that it kind of just picked up where it left off. If I don't take my prednisone, it's a little bit debilitating. I wouldn't say a little bit, it's actually a lot debilitating. My joints start to lock up, and it just becomes hard to move like normal. I think that because I had to start the medications again due to transplant and dialysis, it's not how it was when my mom did the stuff with me. I was off everything. She had purged my system. Now I have 12 medications that I have to take for the kidney, and some of them are for lupus now, because again, with kidney transplant, you have to be on repair medication. I would say, like, because I still juice, I'm 9 years into my kidney transplant, which is great. But I think that like just having to go back on the medications kind of again set me back. And that's why my body's still dependent on the prednisone and some of the other drugs.
That kind of leads me into my next question. What is the balance that you have currently with, what we would call Western medicine versus your homeopathic kind of techniques? What have you found as a happy medium between the two, or what are you still kind of participating in within the two?
Yes. So my doctors know me very well. Some of them have had me since I was a pediatric patient. And they know that like when something doesn't make sense to me, I ask questions and I will not take it until I do research. I advise that to anyone. Like, I don't think that you should just, because the doctor is telling you to take something, you should just take it. You have to research it. You have to figure out how it's going to affect your body and what that can do to you. So anytime there is a medication, I make sure that I do my research. I see how much of it I actually need to be on versus what the doctors are asking me to be on. Now, the doctors do not like this. Like, no doctor wants you to be like, I'm only taking this much. I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to do this. But it's your body at the end of the day, and you have to do what's good for your body. I'm supposed to be on blood pressure medication, but I combat that with apple cider vinegar. There's certain things that I know if I research them, I can come off whatever medication and it's fine. And as long as my labs show good, the doctors don't really question it. But again, none of them are like, yeah, go ahead and do your naturopathic stuff. But I still continue to do it. And I just have seen certain things like I was told I had high cholesterol, and some of my juices help with that. And yeah, there's a couple things that I'm able to replace with the juicing or replace with a supplement, and I don't have to take the Western medicine. But then again, with kidney transplant, with any organ transplant, it's actually hard to there's so much that goes into organ transplant because they have to like put new connections places and they have to do new things. So you have to be careful with stopping those medications because it could be really detrimental to your new organ. So I do take that into consideration, and I again take what I have to take versus what they tell me to take.
And I'm a kidney donor, so yeah, I love the good testimonies.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, you're showing and pretty much proving you and your mother, because your mother being so with her faith and her belief took you from being paralyzed to non-paralyzed the organic way. So I wanted to ask, you're proving that you can substitute the holistic approach versus medicating yourself. Can you give the audience, and I know you gave one with the high blood pressure, take apple cider vinegar. What is that, one capsule a day or?
So I actually mix it like a tea. I do 2 tablespoons in hot water and drink it like a tea.
Okay, and you do this every day?
Every day. Sometimes twice a day.
Okay, and your blood pressure has changed. You know, it's showing that you don't have blood pressure. Damn.
Yep.
Blood pressures. Okay.
Yep. And I have a blood pressure cuff at home, so I always take my own blood pressure just to make sure I'm in alignment, and I've been good.
Okay. So do you recommend the holistic approach to folks? And can you talk about how much time goes into your holistic approach?
Yes. I do recommend it. As I mentioned before, like if you're not, I'm not always the most disciplined when it comes to eating, because my favorite food is short ribs, slow cooked. So, and meat is really hard on your system. So like I have a bad relationship with food, but knowing what I go through, I know that I'd rather be healed. And so I tell myself, like, I need to do this for me. And I would say naturopathic is not for the faint of heart. Like, it is not easy. You have to work at it every day. You have to meal prep. You are going to be spending more money because you're going to the natural stores and getting, you know, fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. So you are going to be spending more money. But if you think about it, the time and effort that you're putting into it now is going to save you those medical bills in the long run. If you choose to take this approach, you're going to see the difference as you get older, and you won't need all of the extra pills and all of the extra visits to the doctor and everything, because you're starting on this naturopathic way. The biggest thing about naturopathic is that you can't just do supplements and call it a day. You can't just do juicing and call it a day. It is a holistic approach. You have to change your whole diet. You have to have some form of exercise or workout, even if it's just walking. You have to, your whole body needs to be well. And so that means everything. And so if you're committing to going naturopathic, you have to say, I'm going to do everything. If you just pick one thing, you're not going to see the results you want. And you're going to say, oh, this is not working. This is a waste of time. But if you put all of the things together and really make it a lifestyle change, you will see the benefits, and you will actually like the benefits. Again, it was very hard for me. I love good food. But it's not the hardest to find things that are natural that you like, or cooking something with less salt or without certain seasonings or whatever. You can still make it your way and make it good. You just have to find what works for you. It takes some time because you have to taste different snacks that you like. Some of them are going to be nasty. Some of them are going to be good. You have to try different recipes. And some of them you're going to say, oh no, this was not doing it. And some of them, oh, this is good. I can do this. I tried kava without any protein, and I was like, oh, it's good. Like just the veggies. It's really good. So you never know until you actually try something and get it your way. And then after trying it, I actually started making my own kava bowls at home. So I saw what I liked, I tried, and now I make my own at home. So again, you kind of can create your own path of what you want to do naturopathically and mix it up and do different variety. And then because the internet is so amazing, there's so many people out there who do vegetarian, vegan, natural, healthy chicken and fish and all these things. So you have so many resources with recipes and the way people have done things that you can rely on to help you make the transition.
Okay, I have a set of 2 questions again. First, with the structure of lupus, or with the doctor's understanding of lupus, in the instance that something else arises, you do have to get back on the donor list for whatever reason. Does the understanding of lupus and how it works affect your standing on a donor's list? Like, since they understand that your body could ruin the transplant that you're about to get, does it affect you getting an organ?
Actually, no. So they do multiple tests prior to you getting the organ. Sorry. I have an emotional support dog, and anytime someone comes to our door, she
It's fine.
So do mine.
So they do a bunch of tests. They do stress tests. They do a whole bunch of things to make sure you're eligible for the list. I'm actually back on the list now because if you get a living donor, the kidney is supposed to last anywhere between 8 to 10 years. If you get a non-living donor, it's 5 to 7, I think. So I'm coming up on the mark that the doctors have said. But again, God's in control, and I know my kidney's going to last longer than that. But
I was going to say, is your kidney still healthy?
Yes.
So why do they want to replace it if it's still healthy?
I've had some bouts of rejection. So sometimes the kidney can display like wonky function, or like that it's rejecting. It's not complete. It's just showing that in the labs and the test. So to err on the side of caution, they just put you back on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, because again, when you're approaching a certain point, they put you back on the list. Because you have to gain years on the list, or time on the list is what they say. So if something happens and you need another kidney, you want to be on the list early because you have to gain time. It's not like they shoot you to the front or put you below based on your previous kidney or based on your lupus or anything. It's just based on your statistics. So like younger children always are at the top of the list. I think like more healthy people have, depending on what your tests say. Like I did a stress test and it showed that I was good, so they put me towards the top of the list. So I think it's just based on the testing and what they determine based on it's a standardized test. They don't look at you and say like, oh, she's not going to make it, or oh, the kidney's going to reject because of her lupus. They base it on this test that they give to everybody.
Got it. And then my second question, with you being of West African heritage, what have you found like with cultural food that you've been able to do, to eat within your limits, or what kind of changes can you make but still enjoy your cultural food, to kind of fit the parameters of this diet?
Yes. So as I was saying, like I love my cultural food, but it is heavy in like meat and starch and all that stuff. So I learned how to make all the things that I like so that I can make it to my liking. That means if I need to make a soup that doesn't have meat in it, or a stew that doesn't have meat in it, or replace it with a substitute or a fish or something like that, I can do that. I also don't use, like a lot of people use those like seasoning cubes and things like that. Those are heavy in salt. Like I don't use the seasoning cubes. So I prepare it based on what I can have. And I've perfected it to make it so tasty to me. My parents have tasted my food too, and they like it, but I definitely had to experiment a little bit. My mom helped me because she is all naturopathic and she was born and raised in Ghana. She was able to say like, here's what we can add, here's what we can't add, here's what's going to still make the soup, or this stew the stew. So she was really instrumental and helpful with that.
Shoot, I forgot my question. Oh geez, look, I got it. Look, see it. I'm having one of
my bad. One of my moments for sure. Trying to see if I got another one in the Rolodex for you.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You got another one.
All right. Now, I guess the dreams and aspirations, that you had before all of this stuff kind of kicked off for you. What actually have you, felt you've been able to meet, or what do you think that what do you feel that you are proud of that you've been able to accomplish, in the midst of everything going on?
I because of the weakened immune system, they say like you shouldn't work in a hospital or like a place that has a lot of things that you can catch, or but I've always had a passion for working with youth, and I work with youth now, and I work part-time at a hospital, and I'm a medical assistant, and I've been doing it for years, since 2009. And I've been successful in both of those, and I love what I do, and I love the people that I serve, and it hasn't affected me in the way that they said it would, which I give all things to God, and I feel so accomplished that I'm able to do it, because I know I have I was in some support groups and stuff for lupus, and as I mentioned, I have my own YouTube channel, so a lot of people come to me about their lupus, and I always like to encourage people that like they can do the things that they want to do. If you have a positive mindset about it and you want to do it, just make sure that you're taking enough rest, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, and you should be able to accomplish it.
Okay, now I wrote it down at the bottom of my page. I just look at to the bottom, and I actually had 2 questions down there, and we may not get to both of them, but I did. Did you ever confront the hospital that pretty much wiped you out and gave you 2 weeks to live and wanted to heavily medicate you? Did y'all ever confront them, and what was the response?
Yes. So we did go back to the hospital, and because we had some follow-up appointments and things with doctors in that same hospital. And so we definitely went back to the unit and the ER and everything, and just told them like, look, I'm walking, I'm fine. And they were like, oh, sometimes these odd situations happen. It's a one-off type of situation. And that's where they left it at.
Hold up. So they just brushed it off.
Yep.
They left you for dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare them?
Mm-hmm. They were like, sometimes these things happen, and we're glad you made it, and great. That's it.
What I guess is a significant memory of your experience with one of the best doctors you had, and why?
I would say I really like my nephrologist. She's still with me. I really like her because she treats me like her own family member. Like, she always assesses the situation and evaluates it and talks me through it, lets me know all the risks, lets me know all the benefits, and we go through it. She also doesn't judge me for making my own decisions. When I say like, I don't want to do that, or I don't think I want to do that right now, or this is not the right path for me, she doesn't judge me. She does advise me, but she doesn't judge me, which I really like. And I've been with her for years, and she's a good one.
Love it. And we're almost at time, and I probably can ask 5 more questions, and Steve probably can too, right?
I did want to follow up and tell you that, like, in my response to like the hospital not doing anything or not saying anything, I have had 6 fibroid surgeries because I had really bad fibroids. And one of the surgeries, they connected my bladder and my colon together. And I was unaware for 2 years, and I had pain, and I had all kinds of issues, and they couldn't figure it out. I was going to all these doctors, and not until my kidney transplant did they figure out that the 2 things were connected, and I was getting infections left and right because fluids were passing through each thing. Because of the statute of limitations, even after them finding it, I could not get reparations. I could not sue the hospital. I could not do any of that because there is a statute of limitations in which you need to discover something. So
that is messed up.
Yeah, a lot of times, even if you have something happen to you in a hospital, like, you may not be able to get the things that you're owed or any kind of reparations from it.
Okay, so hold up. Did y'all confront them about that too?
Yes, we did.
I know your mother did.
Yes, and I got a lawyer and everything, but again, because of the statute of limitations, they
Did the doctor ever apologize?
there's nothing we could do. No, he said it wasn't his fault.
Hold up, he
So
said it. So he messed you up and said it wasn't his fault.
yeah.
Oh, what an ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Karma is something else, I'll tell you that.
No, so they really don't like, and I get it for liability purposes. They're not going to own up to something or they're not going to whatever, but it's just unfortunate for the patient who's going through it.
So what's the statute of limitation?
If it's over a certain amount of years.
I mean, like for your situation, was it 3 years? Was it 5 years?
It was, I think it was 3 years, because my first fibro surgery was in 2013, and then I had consecutive surgeries all the way up until 2016.
So you don't know when they did it?
I think it was the first surgery because I had severe complications afterwards, and then that's when the pain and suffering started. And on my YouTube channel, I have that on there where you see me going through it. Like every time I urinated, it was severe pain. I couldn't even, like at work, I had to hold my mouth just to not scream when I'm using the bathroom because it was so bad and so painful. It was really bad.
So you went through that how long? From 2013 to 2019, every time you used the bathroom, you were in severe pain?
2013 to 2016.
Shoo, that's a long time to be in pain.
It was bad.
Ooh.
It was bad. And then I saw several specialists. I saw several doctors, but they couldn't figure it out. They did tests. They did a lot of surgeries just to see like if there was scarring, if there was something. They just couldn't figure it out.
Man, if they
I would think they would either see fecal matter in the urination or urine in the fecal matter. Like,
they did see some of that. But they equated it to, I was having other things. I was having severe UTIs. I was having infections. I think I had C. diff at the time. There was other things going on. So they equated it to that and not this. And it's not until they did a CT with contrast right before my transplant. And when I took the contrast, instead of it coming out from my bladder, it came out from my rectum.
So how did they not know that?
Yeah.
I'm just like, even if they're saying that those were the causes, those causes are still caused by something. That's my thing. Like, what are we talking about? Like, you don't just get a UTI, that's to get it.
Well, the thing with lupus is everything that you have, they're like, oh, it's a lupus. Oh, it's the lupus. Oh, it's just because you have lupus. Like, they don't even book anything else. They're just like, oh, it's because you have lupus. You're going through this. You have infections because you have lupus. Oh, it's just because your immune system's weak. So that was always the response. Like, even to this day, I can't go to urgent care because they're like, oh, you have lupus. You have to go to an ER. Yeah.
So urgent cares, if they know you have lupus, they won't.
Because my case is so complicated and they can see my history, they don't see me. I went for a UTI. I knew I had a UTI and I said, okay, I just need the UTI medication. I know what I take. I know this. And they said, nope, we can't see you. So they put me in a cabin, took me to the emergency room. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to go into your
yeah, we're over time. Man, we might need to come back for a part 2 on this too. We're over time, but we like to leave with a few things before we close out. Can you give the audience advice, especially for those that are going through lupus, just to keep fighting, or if they see a sign, maybe something can help them. Just advice that helped you, that you're continuously fighting the battle of lupus.
Yes. So I would say just find your support systems, find people who are going to be in the fight with you. Um, if you can, find other lupus warriors so that you don't feel like you're alone, and they can tell you what they're going through, what medications they're on, and you guys can battle that out together. And then your mindset is a beautiful thing. Like, it's what drives everything. So you could be really, really sick, but if you're thinking positively, if you're happy, that's like 20% right there, maybe even more. So keeping a positive outlook, even when things look really, really down or bad or whatever, always think of the good things that have happened for you so far. Always think of, anytime I get down about it, I'm like, you know what? I still have both my hands. I still have both my arms. I have my legs. I can walk. Like, I think of all the good things so that I can focus on that instead of the bad. So find your steady point, find something that you want to focus on to make you stay in that positive mindset. And you got this.
Absolutely. So we do like to give our guests a chance to participate, in shameless plug. So you see your information scrolling across the bottom here. Tell the viewers a little bit about how they can contact you, what it is that you can assist with if they do, if there's anything that you want to draw attention or traffic to, if there's anything you have for sale, any projects or groups you want to shout out, anything, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, I've told you guys about my Limitless with Lupus page. That's for anybody. It's free content for you to just see what I've been through. Maybe it'll help you. My mom also has written a couple books about how she healed me and the juicing process and what juices she used. Her website is kukuafitness.com, and you can get the books on there or on Amazon. But if you reach out to any of my handles, I can definitely give you the link to the books. But they're very helpful if you're starting your journey with juicing. And then, yeah, just reach out. Like, if you have any questions for me, if you are new to lupus and you just need someone to talk to or have questions, I am here for you. I'm always going to answer. I'm always going to text you, call you, whatever you need. So definitely reach out.
Samantha, we want to thank you for such a powerful testimony. I hear so much about lupus, but the fact I see folks say they're in the hospital, the pain that they're feeling, you just gave a broad, of the severe piece of lupus, and a lot of people probably don't suffer as much as you do, and many may. So I don't want to discredit that either, but you just have been through it, from donate kidney transplants, not donation, but kidney transplants, to paralyzation, to rashes, just all. So God bless you in all that you do, and keep fighting the fight for lupus. So anyone that is suffering from lupus, this is the episode, a must, that you should watch. And we're going to continue to share life experiences. Ain't that right, Sid?
That's right.
That's right. Samantha, thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. And congratulations on 2025, the Good Fight Achievement Award.
Yes, thank you so much. So honored. Thank you.
Yes, from Arlington Black Council. So we want to give a shout out to Arlington Black Council as well. Thank you. And if you could please hold, y'all have a blessed day. Peace.